Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Timpley from the International Food Safety and Quality Network. Welcome to edition 34 of the Food Safety Fridays webinar program. I'm delighted to say today's guest speaker is Oscar Rodriguez-Gonzalez. Oscar's presented a couple of times before this year. And today, Oscar's going to be talking about integrating management systems, food safety, quality and sustainability. Some of us have one management system, some of us have multiple ones, but there is value in, there's a lot of duplication in there if you run them as single standalone systems. So there's value to be had with integration. And Oscar's going to be telling us, talking some tips about that. Okay, as I do every week, I'd like to thank the sponsors, Trace Analytics, IFS, FSSC and Safe Food 360, who help to bring these webinars to you free of charge each week and allow you to get a free certificate of attendance. That's it for now. I can head over now and welcome Oscar. Nice to have you with us again, Oscar.
Good morning or good
afternoon. Can you
hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, you're sharing your screen, Oscar. No, just stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
No problem. It's nice to have you with us today, Oscar, again.
Yep, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the presentation. So if you can get your presentation ready, Oscar, and then
Okay.
We'll be back over to you shortly. Okay. Next week, we don't have a webinar. You might be pleased to know that, you might not. We've done 34, and for some of you it's been a hard slog, but we're on the downward slope now to Christmas. We've only got about another 6 or 7 to do before the end of the year. So this is 34. The next one is on the 20th of November. It is a very interesting one. We've got CCPs versus OPRPs, a pragmatic approach to choosing and classifying food safety control measures. Basically, OPRPs, operational prerequisite programs, were brought into focus in ISO 22000 standard in 2005, and they've really confused people quite heavily. So the speaker that day, who is, his name escapes me for the time being, David, will be really laying it out in simple, pragmatic terms. He'll be giving clear examples so that we can really all understand it in a very simple way, which would be nice because it's forever discussed on the discussion forums, OPRP, CCP, PRP. So David's going to be helping us with that. Okay, and that's on the 20th of November. So we've got a short break of about 3 or 4 weeks. Just to say, today's webinar is being recorded as usual, and you will get the slides, the video, and the certificate of attendance. We normally distribute that email to everybody within a few hours, actually, of the live event. So, yeah, we've got Oscar today. We've got some polls we'd like you to participate in. I'll be back for those polls and for the Q&A later. But for now, I'll hand you over to Oscar for the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Good morning, good afternoon. For those of you that got a chance to attend my previous webinars, you may recognize me again. If not, based in Toronto, Canada, and I'm coming from the academic sector of food, but I'm getting more into the industrial and practical side, and part of my plans for the future has been working as a consultant, and because of that, I have achieved some certifications on not only food safety auditing, but in as scientist and quality engineering. Also working in the sustainability certificate program, which is currently being rolled out. When we planned this presentation, was kind of the wrapping of the concepts that we reviewed during this year, because there is pretty much a trend, and because some of my recent projects and that I have as a professional projects and some consulting that I have got, I've got to review more in detail or more in depth of how things make sense and how all the pieces fit together, and that's what we're going to talk about today. To start, we'd like to know, to get an idea of what kind of management system have you implemented. There are different types of management systems, and if you can share with us what type of management system have you worked on.
Okay, yeah, I've set that poll in the sidebar, Oscar. What type of management system have you implemented? Food safety, food quality, environmental, energy, sustainability, and more than one. They're the options. I wager that more than one will come out quite highly. And yes, food safety is 50%, more than one is 50%. Yeah, so half the people have implemented a food safety system, and the other half have implemented more than one of those listed systems.
Okay. All right. So I guess that's reasonable in for people working in the food industry. That's how we get started with management systems. And that's what some scientists have suggested. That's the first thing that we have to implement, food safety management system, and then build on that based on the requirements that go to quality management and long-term management strategy. That can be seen in the structure of the SQF standard, or Safe and Quality Food Standard, where they talk about food safety fundamentals, the food safety plan, the food quality plan, and the ethical sourcing, which is the new module for safe and quality food. Because their philosophy is one standard used for most of the needs of the business or the company. But a similar approach can be taken when companies apply ISO standards. It's just that the question is where to start with food safety. The logic that we use is first we start protecting the consumer, because anything that happens to the consumer because the food that we produce is going to have a direct impact on the business. So because of business sense, protecting the consumer should be priority to any food business. Some people may suggest that you have to protect your workers before you protect your consumers, and suggest to start with health and safety. There's a small variation. It's still safety, but for what I have learned in health and safety, or like first aid and emergency response, that's true. You have to protect yourself before you can protect others. But when you're in business, your consumers are the life of the business. So that's why food safety becomes priority. Some people may think as quality is more important for a business. Yeah, quality is important too, but losing a customer because of a quality issue may not be as big as losing a customer because of a food safety issue. Because in food safety and health and safety, we're talking about our lives. Right? So when people get killed, that's a bigger problem. Then they just get mad or angry.
Yes. Oscar, just one question. Are you meant to be sharing your screen, PowerPoint now or not?
Yep.
Because
Okay.
it's been quite nice just listening to you and watching you actually. But anyway, you're back on PowerPoint.
Yeah. So that's the structure from safety to long-term strategy, using several modules or several standards. Then if we look into the standards, like the core or the heart of the standards is some way to manage different issues, like the ISO 9001, which is like the reference for quality systems, require operation control, operational planning and control, in addition to most of the common things like leadership, management responsibility, management support, which is supposed to, it seems kind of obvious, because if the business had decided to implement the standard, it should be supporting. But each standard has something that makes it that makes a difference from the standard. And quality is operational control, with some performance and evaluations and improvement. Performance evaluation and improvement that includes the monitoring, measuring, auditing, and management review. ISO 22000, which is not the model for food safety, but as an example of food safety. It requires a hazard analysis and a hazard plan, which we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. That thing of managing food safety is that we have to understand the hazards and develop a hazard plan, which is a process-based management system. We compare it with good manufacturing practices, which is it's not based on a process, but in a list of practices that are considered good. It's a bit of difference that we're going to be discussing later, but we start to kind of starting to see the difference, or what makes each standard or management system unique. These two types of standards are similar. It's just that operation controls are different. In quality, we're controlling, monitoring quality. In safety, we are controlling, monitoring safety issues. In environmental management systems, we're controlling or we cannot control too much as we do in quality and safety, because it's most external factors. But we can manage things based on what we have. And most of the environmental management system is focused on planning and resources, and there's some analysis. The tool that is used for environmental management is a life cycle analysis, which is it's not a process, but it's the life cycle of the product, which is from farm to fork, or from cradle to grave. Some other management systems, like the energy management system, which is newer, they are more focused on indicators, like performance indicators. So the planning is a bit difference because it's more based on metrics and determining baselines and managing those targets. So if you have implemented a system like SQF, you may have seen some of these concepts used to, like determining objectives, like we're talking about food safety objectives, in energy, we're talking about energy objectives. In food safety, we don't use too many performance indicators, but in some other management systems like energy, those are used. So it's a bit different way to manage, but we're still collecting information from the operation, from the floor, from the facility, and doing some analysis, making improvements based on what we monitor, measure, analyze, and what the internal audit says and what external auditor says. All the information that is collected and reviewed by management. That's how we keep like improving the system. When we talk about sustainability, is a broader concept. That's why ISO has not made a standard yet. What they have is a guidance of the things that companies should do to be socially responsible. The thing of being socially responsible is being responsible with the consumer, which we are talking about in food safety. Producing safe food is part of being responsible with the consumer. But what sustainability is looking into is you don't only are responsible with the consumer, but with your workers and with your community. So it includes everything around the business that may affect its performance. And what's happening is that this is at a big company level. This is being looked by investors, how company manage the external risks, how they behave in a community. So that will affect their investments. Like if you can influence an investor on their decision for investing in a company based on what a company is doing with its community, that's a way to apply the concept of sustainability and kind of force a corporation or a public company to make decisions that are more responsible with the community. In the food and beverage sector, there are things like in retail, waste, the payment of workers, and the alcoholic beverage, there is promoting alcohol to pregnant women and children. In the meat sector, there is things like animal welfare. In the grains, there's like things like genetically modified organisms, which is a consumer issue that may affect the performance of the business and how much of the product is being sold. Some others like may have like things like migrant workers or like traffic of people. Then. So all these are risks that company take and may be affecting their performance, because once consumers understand how their food is produced, they will favor or not that type of food. So it's kind of a public image issue for some companies. So, but in essence, even when management system for sustainability is not clearly defined, there are some options for managing sustainability. But a management system like using the ISO model is designed by looking into top management, how they develop the policy, do some planning around based on the top management approval, and then implementing in the floor or in the plant all the actions that are going to be done to manage that issue. So we have performance indicators, we have good manufacturing practices, we have the HACCP plan, a process-based HACCP plan. We have a life cycle analysis, energy performance. So we're monitoring all these metrics or these issues, reviewing what we implement, comparing to what we have in the standard, what the standard requires. We get external auditors to evaluate the system, and then we review it with management to make improvements. So that's like the basic model on a management system, how it's implemented, how it is kept alive by feeding the information that is needed to manage the different aspects of the issue being managed. So the next question is, which position do you have, or what is your role in the company or in the business?
Okay, so I will set that poll for you in the sidebar. Just give me a moment. The question is, which role best fits your position in the company? Equipment operator, line supervisor, plant manager, administration, or food safety quality manager, or some variant of that. So let's see. I expect it to be the food safety stroke quality manager. Yeah, over 90% of people are around 90% of people are food safety or quality manager or some derivative of that.
All right. All right. Yeah, we also forgot to include like business owner.
Yeah, true.
I guess not too many business owners will be attending the webinar, but because most of the time this type of management systems are interesting for medium, large size companies. Small companies, startup companies, they don't have the capacity or the time to implement a management system. And it's usually a requirement, right? Like a supplier, a consumer requirement to implement them. But there are some things that are like managing cost, like expenses. Does any business has to do it, and that can be like used as a base for building the rest of the management systems. It's just that we may not be aware of all the things that are happening in our business and how to put them in a system that can be managed and improved. So in one of my recent projects, I've been studying the different type of audits and how they fit together, and whether knowledge on certification for quality auditors says you that there are different type of audits. One way to classify them will be to go from product to process to system. When we review this, it gets interesting because it's pretty much what we do in food safety. What we don't hear too much about is about the product audits, but if we look into the information that we have or that we manage, we have a lot of product audits. It's just that we call them evaluations or testing or it has a different name, right? Like examining the product. If we look into what risk management in food safety and health and safety is about applying controls to problems or to potential issues that have an impact. Then in food safety and health and safety is a debt. But this problem is caused by different factors, which in the root cause analysis is classified in 6 categories. What we have to do to manage safety is to understand what the problem is, how we can control it, and how to go to all the causes and prevent the problem from occurring. So this is when it gets tricky, because we do hazard analysis. We understand that the hazard is E. coli, that the hazard is Listeria, Salmonella, but where does it coming from? It may be coming from different sources, or it may have different causes or origins. It can be related to the material that we're using, to the equipment, that is proper cleaning of the equipment. It can be related to the people that is operating with the food. It may be problems with the measurements that we're doing. So that's when we do all the investigation and determine what the cause of the problem is coming from this place. This is where we having problems that we have to control, and that's we're going to determine the effectiveness of the control that we apply and where do we apply them. Because we may be having different type of problems or different type of hazards, then we have to prioritize based on which are the problems that will have the highest consequences or the biggest impact. That's why sometimes like following a recipe from good manufacturing practices is easier to implement, because if the list said no jewelry and no chewing on eating or eating at the operation, or the good manufacturing practice say that the equipment has to be off the floor certain 30 centimeters or 50 centimeters. That's kind of easy. We just take the list of things that we have to do, compared with the standard implemented in the floor, and okay, here's the recipe, just do it, implement it, and you will be safe. But then there may be things that are not considered in the good manufacturing practice. These good manufacturing practices also have to be updated, and some of them, some management systems are based on the HACCP model, because the HACCP model was created to analyze the different hazards in a process base, and that's where we're going to get later on in a few minutes. But then if a different way to look into integration of management systems is going from causes to management. And if we look to what information do we have to manage the different potential causes, we have standards for methods, or a standard for the monitoring techniques. Government websites like the FDA or Public Health Canada, or groups like the American Chemical Association. they will have a list of the procedures with a manual on how to analyze for acrylamide, how to analyze for pesticides, how to analyze microbes. So when we are doing this, when we're looking into problems with methods or measurements, this is how we should be doing the measurement and the method. So it has been established before that if you follow this method, you should be getting the results that you should. There are standards for sanitary equipment design. We reviewed this recently in one food processing suppliers conference. So like people that manufacture equipment, they are looking into sanitary design, hygienic design, and there are standards for designing equipment. So the idea is that if equipment is designed following this guidance, which includes type of material, the design of equipment, and the function that equipment meets, we should not have problems with equipment. One of the most debatable or areas of causes of problems is people. I got the chance to contribute to give opinion to some of the developing standards that are happening in Canada on training and skills competencies. So what they're doing is basically saying this is how, if you're going to train people, this is how they should be trained. Or if you're going to hire people for doing the maintenance work, this is what they should know. So I think that in a few years we may have like a standard saying if you have problems with personnel, this is what you should be doing to get it right. The Grocery Manufacturers Association is also talking about culture, and because if you already know this, this a book author, which is a person responsible for food safety in Walmart, he started this idea of food safety culture and how managing people or creating a food safety culture in the manufacturing or retail operation, it can help to improve the food safety of the product. People is a kind of I think it's manageable because you can understand that if you have to wash your hands, you wash them. But sometimes what happens with humans is that we have different priorities, and we're a changing machine. Like it's not a machine that stays doing the same all the time. So we can create habits like things that we do repetitive, but we still are affected by other factors. So there's a kind of a competition between people and machines on who will be safest, because a machine can be programmed to don't make mistakes in food safety, right? We can have a machine that does the same work all year round and 24 hours and never makes a mistake, and we can design it for that. Or we can have a person that is doing the work of the machine, but chances are that sometimes we may be thinking about something different, or have different, worry about different issues, and will not pay attention to food safety. So I guess this is one of the most difficult areas to get reliability or to be reliable, but it's still possible. It's just a way, finding the ways to manage. So that's these three type of standards are more like products or cows based, and we have ways to manage that based on at least of recommendations. Things like laboratory methods and equipment design, they can be audited. We can get a warranty from the supplier that equipment is designed for sanitary conditions. Now this doesn't end because equipment is designed sanitary, doesn't mean that we don't have to clean it. It just make it way easier to clean it. We still have to have a sanitary procedure to clean it, and we have to be dealing with people that do the cleaning. But then you can design some way to do the cleaning in place automatic, so people don't make mistakes during the cleaning, and the cleaning is part of the equipment design. So what happens is in this area of causes of problem, we may have more control than others. So it will be just decreasing the risk of having problems with equipment. But then when we go to the process level, which is when we implement a HACCP plan, and how some management systems are HACCP based. We base on a flow of the material. We call them steps. So basically what we do with the HACCP plan is based on the flow of the materials or based on the process, we identify hazards, control measures, and determine which of them are priority that we have to control, that are more critical. I've been working with some colleagues on this idea of doing a better hazard analysis, because I think that these ideas are still kind of confusing for some, because we talk about chemical, biological, and physical hazards, which is the main three categories. But there are sometimes like radiation hazards, with hazard caused by radiation. We still don't know if the problem of radiation is a physical treatment, it's a control measure, but the problem is not the radiation treatment, it's how much radiation we apply. And then the hazard is not the radiation, it's the chemical that is produced by the radiation. So it will be classified as a chemical hazard. There is some people talking about nutritional hazards, which is consuming excess nutrients. The chemical hazards is an area that is kind of difficult to classify, because there are chemical pesticides, there are heavy metals, and like excess minerals, which would be a nutritional hazard. That doesn't have to be classified as a nutritional. It's an excess of a chemical in the product. We also use a HACCP plan to manage allergens, and like if we're getting certified for gluten-free, or we want to include the soy-free or dairy-free, we can contemplate that in the HACCP plan. may not be a hazard for all the population, but if we identify the allergen as a hazard in our plan, as a chemical that is a component of the food, it can be hazard for some. It depends on the amount that we have in the food. So basically what we have in the HACCP plan is a tool that helps us to manage processes and apply controls in that process. Now, when we talk about quality and reliability, we use something very similar, which is the failure mode and effects analysis. This is more used by quality engineers. Same process in the what we call steps, we can call them operations. Then we get into the differences that the failure modes are more into what is going to stop us from producing the product, from making the product. Then we have different issues, and the difference in the failure mode and effects analysis that we quantify the risk. We apply, we can quantify severity, which is the problem is going to make the process fail. It's going to have a consequence like stopping the process line. How often would the problem happens? There's another list of ranking that we apply. We can apply up to detection and keep applying all the factors that will affect this failure mode. So the interesting thing of the failure mode and effects analysis is that we come up with a number that says this type of failure is the one that happens more often, is the most important of them. And if you apply other factors like detectability, is the one that we can detect at least. So here's where we should be paying more attention. Let's develop an action plan, take action, fix it, or put something in place to control it, and then keep it under control. And that's how we keep improving the reliability of processes. Now, these two concepts are usually presented as process-based, but it can be applied to life cycle or a product from raw material to waste, which is the next level in not just managing a process within an operation, but managing different players within the supply chain. In environmental management, what we do is basically analyze the life cycle of the product from raw material inputs, agriculture, to the production in the farm, to the manufacturing plant, to the retailer, and to waste. And we come up with an inventory of all the waste that we're generating and how this impact the environment. We put some numbers, and based on a tool like this, we can say this product is going to have a higher environmental impact compared to the other product. Now let's start to make some adjustments in our life cycle. That we're having more impact because of the raw material. We're having more impact because of the distribution of the material. Then we start improving our product based on this type of information. In systems of systems, which is sustainability, what is happening is that large corporation, they don't have to, it's voluntary, but if they want to keep the investors happy, they have to make sustainability reports or social responsibility reports. And companies like Nestle or Diageo, they put the report in the website. This is based on the Global Reporting Initiative. And you will see that in some issues like environmental performance, one of the indicators is how many sites are ISO 14000 certified. And in this case, Nestle is reporting that they have 600 sites certified for ISO 14000 in 2013, and they increased it to 621. So these large corporations, they have different sites, and each site has its manager and it has its management system. So in a bigger picture, for an investor or for a CEO, what they will be looking into is how many sites they have certified and how does it compare with the competition. They will be managing also using the same concept that we use for managing energy, like developing performance indicators and targets. They will apply it to manage the different aspects like packaging. In this case, the HEO, the company is saying our target or objective is to reduce the packaging by 15% and increase recycled packaging to 45%. So it's putting some numbers there. It's saying we want to source all our paper and board packaging sustainably. So it's saying we're gonna get sustainably sourced or sustainability certified paper. So they are making this commitment to the investors, and then they'll start to execute, and they start going back in the supply chain and down to the execution level. Now we want to have more sites certified. We want to get our products from certified suppliers. And so the next question is, do you manage an integrated system? Or like for those of you that have managed different systems, do you have them as one, or do you have different separate systems?
Okay, I've loaded that. The question is, do you manage an integrated system? And the two possible answers are yes or no. And we've got a dead heat, roughly. It's roughly, we can say yes, just favors yes, maybe 60-40. So that's good. That's good, Oscar, isn't it? It's quite good news.
Yeah. And now what happens when we talk about integration? We went from the cause of the product to the process to the supply chain and the corporation. But then if we go back to the plant, or if we are like at the plant management level, we have different activities to take care, and the main is the production process, right? From material to product. Then come all the accessory items like managing waste and garbage, and doing hygiene and health and safety and administration and visitors environment. This is the model that Global GAP uses, and they have integrated food safety, health and safety, and the environment in a list of good agricultural practices. So this is the list of practices that a farm should implement if they want to manage the food safety of the products, the health and safety of the employees, and the environmental impacts. So with Global Gap, when you implement Global Gap, you have the list of things that you have to do to manage these three areas of the operation. Now, another way to look into an integrated system is like some full management system suggests is look into the process, which is like a HACCP plan. But then what is being talked about is that the HACCP plan has to have more things. It's not just managing food safety hazards, but then they are adding security hazards. Like all the area of food defense, all the threats to security, they have to be. It's being suggested that it's presented in using the HACCP model, which is a process-based model. We have the traceability system, which is based on the process too, tracing the product from material to product, and one step back and one step forward. We are managing cost, which from a process perspective, we can look to cost as quality cost from prevention, evaluation to repair. Or we can look as activity-based costing, which is a tool from continual improvement, where we analyze the cost of each operation, each activity, and then start making improvements based on where we're spending more. We have things like quality issues on each step of the process or in each operation of the process, like color and the coloration of the product from raw material to product, loss of nutrients that we could control if we look to how quality attributes are lost during the processing. There seems like energy, that if we analyze how much of each operation spends on energy. So if you're looking like a supervisor level on a management system, it's a bunch of things that we have to manage, right? We have to keep traceability, we have to manage cost, we have to manage food safety, because we have microbes, chemicals, and physical contaminants. We have to keep the quality of the product, and part of managing cost could be controlling energy use. So we can have a pretty integrated system if we combine all of this based on operation or based on activity. So that's another way to put an integrated system in place, especially a supervisor or an operator may get overwhelmed when each department comes with a different story. One wants costing, the other wants quality, the other wants safety, and you have to take care of all the things then. When we are ensuring that all materials are safe or good quality, we rely on things like certifying or ensuring that our supplier has a management system. So that's another way to integrate management system horizontal, right? If my supplier is certified and I can guarantee that my product is certified, then let's go along the supply chain. Just give the certificate, and then you don't have to worry too much about going to do the audit. The certificates are different types, like you may already know. It's a certification of the management system, or it's a certificate of analysis in the laboratory. that is free from listeria or chemical contamination. So another thing that happens during the management of the system is that we have a set of instructions or SOPs, and we collect data based on what the SOP established. And then we do reviews and analysis of this information. So there's a flow of information from what happens in the floor, in the operation, to move it through data collection and analysis. And that's one of the new trends on integrating operational technology with informational technology, which is how we can make the flow of information more efficient when we're collecting indicators in the floor in each operation and having to process that information to make an analysis. That's one of my recent areas of interest because of quality engineering project, how we can collect information faster and come up with a report in a efficient manner. People working on statistics is I've been working on that, especially when you have to make decisions fast, like a recall or stop a processing line because of the deviations. So in conclusion, the management system, if you haven't implemented one, you can use a standard, and this standard can be complemented using management tools or quality tools, or like the HACCP plan, the failure mode and effects, the life cycle analysis. One of the things of integrating management systems is that we can reduce some overhead costs or capacity, like when we train personnel for internal auditing or have a quality practitioner that is trained on quality management, the person that knows how to audit may be able to not only do the full safety audit, but do a quality audit and do a energy audit, because the concept of auditing, that person have it, or what we need is what the person needs to change a bit the topic that is being audited. Is you may not be an expert in energy, like measuring energy, but you know performance indicators and how to manage metrics. The same for quality and safety. Like you may not be a full safety expert, but if you know how to manage statistical like process control, how to apply controls in processes, and how to manage variations in what you measure, this is the same type of knowledge. There's, like we talk about, as this integration can be vertical from product or activity to the system. Like we talk about laboratory methods, equipment design, people training. If this is standardized, we don't have to reinvent anything. We just have to follow the method, follow the recipe, and put it into a larger system that is integrating all the activity standards. We call it horizontal integration, which is from supplier to consumer in the supply chain, or using the same analysis tool like HACCP and FMEA to put all information in one tool that will manage the different aspects that we need to. this concept of integration, it may be confusing because it's used on business, and when companies merge, they buy companies that do the same thing in the marketplace. Like a dairy company may buy another dairy company to take the market share, or a farm and a manufacturer supplies. They are bought by the same company. Well, it's the same idea of integrating systems, I guess, that you can take over the activities that other people at on the same level do, or you can use information from the the product activity which will be like a raw material to process and system. So I guess I hope you got the idea that I tried to present. This is what we discussed on the previous Food Safety Fridays, and I guess we kind of review some concepts on safety engineering, being efficient and effective, and applied some of the economics on management systems.
Okay. Thanks, Oscar. Brilliant. If you want to stop sharing your slide now, if anybody has a question, please do type it in. We have run over a little bit, but we can take some questions. Just one thing on auditing specifically. For me, there are two schools of thoughts on integrated audits. On the one hand, to me, if a person is looking at a process, for example, why would you, and you was auditing, let's say, for food safety, why would you ignore health and safety risks or environmental risks or things like that? You know, to me, you know, you should open your eyes and look at all those different elements. And if you don't do that, then you're wasting your time. But on the other hand, some people do say that if you do more of an integrated audit like that, then let's say you're watering down the focus of, let's say, if it's a specific food safety audit, then you're watering that down. You're not looking at that in the depth that you need to. So there's two schools of thought: looking wide on a range of subjects, or looking deep on one narrow subject. So I'm not sure really. What do you think?
Well, I guess that would depend on or your client or your customer. Like part of doing the HACCP plan is describing the product and the consumer, right? Like if you're making baby food, there has to be like a baby grade, right? Like you have to be really sure that, because kids are more propense to get sick, so you really have to take care of baby food compared to other type of food. So depending on your target population, you may want to have more assurance than other products. Then that will be determined by the supplier. So there are some food products where that are higher risk, where we have to put more attention to, like dairy, meat, and if you're supplying food to a hospital, there's immunocompromised population where safety has to be has to have more priority than everything else. Then when watering down the system will be like there's a you can make a HACCP plan with a critical control points. Then if you have a plant without critical control points, you kind of just making it for compliance, right? More than doing a hazard analysis and control measures. Then that's why they are getting into some standards, and the FDA is getting into, instead of, if you don't have too many critical points, you have more preventative controls. Right? So instead of focusing only in the critical ones, let's kind of spread out a bit more the controls, but then you still be prioritizing which of these controls is more important. Because managing different aspects, like including the health and safety and the energy and costing, is like if you have a production supervisor, he's focused on production, right? And probably their performance is being evaluated by how much product they can produce during the day, and that's how they get paid. But then the people from food safety cultures comes and they want to evaluate food safety performance, then you're going to get paid or you're going to get discounted because of the mistakes that you make in food safety.
Yeah.
So your performance will be evaluated based on how many defects you make and how many health and safety problems you made in your production. So then as a performance evaluated not only in your capacity of producing, but how safe is your process. Then it can be useful to you to, we're not just focusing in producing as much as we can, but now we're looking to different aspects, and we have all this information for this process and this product. You may have one of the products that is the safest, or one that's the cheapest, like the lowest energy. You're still managing health and safety, but then it's kind of you can play the cards depending on the product requirements, right?
Yeah. Okay, in terms of questions, I don't see too many questions. A lot of people have enjoyed the webinar and got a lot out of it. Jeffrey's just asking, what is a sustainability standard? Is there an ISO standard for sustainability or not, Oscar?
No, the ISO 26000 is just a guidance. Like management systems, there is a few that is not ISO. Well, we didn't get into organic food and traditional food. So organic is a type of sustainability standard, but it's more focused on pesticides and GMOs. The fair trade standard will be more focused on the treatment of the workers and fair payment. The same with sustainability is that because it covers different aspects of the business, you can get it's like getting a gluten-free or peanut-free certificate. Yeah. Or you can get your management system that says all the allergens.
But there is some guidance, ISO 26000. That's a guidance document, but you can't be. So that would be good to have a look at. Aliu is asking, is governance, risk management, and compliance the same as integrated management system? Does that make sense?
government compliance is it's just following the regulations, right? So like what happens in sustainability is from an investor point of view, what they say is how many fines do you get for non-compliance? Like, do you get fines for not reporting something to the government? And then an investor would be interested in putting his money more into companies that comply with the law, because if they get too many problems with the law, chances are that they're going to be taken out of business. So they may not be investing in that way.
Ultimately, a business, let's say a business delivering food products, they want to give safe food products to the customer, good quality levels, and produced in a safe manner for their employees that doesn't harm the planet, that is sustainable and is equitable to the supply chain, etc., that meets all the regulations. So a good professional business will try, and a successful business will try to do all of these things. And all the systems are, management systems are blueprints for helping you to implement processes, procedures, and policies within your organization. That's
Yeah, and another thing is because there's so many topics to manage in sustainability, like let's say GMOs, right? What most business will do, even including corporations, right? It's like GMO is on fashion, right? So this is the fashion trend right now, and they will say, okay, let's make this product GMO free. Then you adjust your HACCP plan to run, and your specifications and all your management system is adjusted to make products that are GMO free. You may not have all the products GMO free or peanut free or soy free, but then your management system is being adjusted to meet the specifications. Okay. So that's what it's kind of each topic is like a fashion trend, but then because you may not be able to have like everything, but then it's also a way to make improvements, because it's a living system where there are discoveries on biotechnology and treatment of workers and what's happening in society, yeah, the thing on is the way I look into is like the quality attributes. Like if consumers are doing preference because of color, you get into color. Then if they're doing because of flavor, you get the flavor. If they do for shelf life, you improve the shelf life. So the same happens in sustainability.
Yeah. Okay. There's quite a bit of interest in sustainability, actually. Silvana, what we'll do is we'll put links to the other sustainability reference standards and things on the forum. Okay, I think we're 15 minutes over, Oscar, but it's opened our eyes to perhaps, there is increasing demands. The scope of a business, it looks a lot wider than it used to do, and it has to satisfy and improve in all aspects if it's going to be a viable, sustainable business in the long term and be profitable and improve. So it makes sense if you've got all these systems to integrate them as much as possible that you get most benefit and less cost for the business. That's what we want to do. So thanks very much for sharing this with us today. Really appreciate it. I hope to see you again next year.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Okay, so on behalf of all the attendees today and the IFS QN and Food Safety Fridays, thanks, Oscar. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have already put in your certificate there that you can click on and download from the website. We will distribute the slides, the recording, and the certificate in an email in an hour or two. So you should get that. The next webinar is November the 21st with David Rosenblatt. He's going to be talking about OPRPs, operational prerequisite procedures, that were first came to light in ISO 22000 in 2005, 10 years ago now, and still many people haven't got a clue what they are. So David's going to be shedding light on that and explaining simple, practical terms with some examples on what that is. So it's a must-see. Even if you don't deal with ISO 22000, I'm sure you'll get a lot out of that. So that's November the 21st. So apart from that, thanks for attending today. Thanks for your patience and your input. Have a great day. Have a Food Safety Friday. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you on November the 21st. Okay, take care. Bye.